and welcome to Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with a Gaming Twist. I'm your host Clifton, and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Tonight, I'm really excited to bring you a stream that I've been wanting to do for a while. I just haven't had my hands on all the bottles at the same time. But tonight, I finally did it. So I'm really excited to do a flight of Old Overholt Cask Strength Rye Whiskey, the 10-year-old, the 11-year-old, and the 12-year-old. These have been coming out one a year for the past 3 years, and I finally get to do them as a head-to-head because I've been curious how they compare to the initial 10-year release that came out a few years back. So I'm going to be trying them tonight, giving my thoughts on them, seeing if they've gotten better or worse over the years, or if they've stayed about the same. These are essentially the same whiskeys other than just being 1 year older each time. Same mash bill. Relatively same proof. We'll talk about that specifically as we go through. There's like one outlier here, which we'll talk about. But other than that, these are the same whiskey. They're from Jim Beam, which is one of my favorite distilleries, starting at 10 years old and cask strength. So should be a fun time. If you're watching live, hello in the chat. Good to see you. If you're watching the replay, feel free to skip around and find whichever section you want to watch the review, or just stay for the whole thing. Whatever you do, hit the thumbs up if you are ready for a good show, because I am. I'm very excited. We see Tony Bag Donuts is here. Todd is here in the chat, and RIP Shy Guy. I'm here for the party. Where are all the white women? Well, I don't think I qualify. I look down as if like maybe I did today, but no, I don't identify as that. But yeah, it should be a good time. I'm gonna go ahead and start actually with a different whiskey just to kind of set my palate for a rye drinker. I actually have the Knob Creek 10-year rye, which theoretically should be pretty darn similar to what we're gonna be drinking through tonight. This is 100 proof. And yeah, so figured that would be kind of a good place to start my palate and then work our way up in proof and age. So curious what you guys think. Are you guys fans of Knob Creek or Jim Beam's rye mash bills? Is it typically something you like, something you don't like? I'd love to know what you guys think. I've been a fan of it. I think, I think that just Old Overholt in general has always kind of had a spot in my collection, whether it's just the bonded release, which I think is 4 years old, if I remember correctly. There was also a 114 proof release, and just the standard Old Overholt as well. So I've always kind of had it on my bar, but when they introduced these cask strength releases, I got very excited because you're taking what I already think is a good whiskey and then releasing it at full proof, which is super, super exciting. So I'm excited to do these side by side. I thought about, should I do it blind? But I really feel like I'd rather talk about them individually. We'll see how I feel about that as I go through. But I just know I have strong feelings for the original one that came out, which is the 10-year. I tried the 11-year. I couldn't quite get into it as much, but I just picked up a bottle of the 12-year. So that's going to be a fresh crack first impression for me today. So I was like, I'm going to work my way through it, and then we're just going to do it not blind, but just as they come. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about it today. I also see Caleb in the chat, Adam here as well. Knob Creek Cask Strength Rye, yes please, says Todd. Yes, Todd, I know you're a big fan of that one. I didn't have that one, but like I said, I just wanted to start with the Knob Creek 10-year rye, since we're sticking to a 10-year age statement and above tonight anyways. Tony said he's been drinking some Knob Creek rye picks lately, not as good as I remembered. Yeah, so Knob Creek rye picks, my opinion of them have kind of been like so-so. I think honestly Knob Creek rye, the standard release of it, or the it's not really called cask strength because right, it's 115 proof. I think that's just on par with the picks of it and significantly cheaper. So I'm kind of there with you, Tony. I think the picks of the Knob Creek rye have kind of been hit or miss. I feel you there for real. Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans. What's up, Mike? Good to see you. Good evening, all you wonderful whiskey people. Yes, good evening to you. Hope you were doing well. So just turning my AC down because it's a little warm in here with all these lights. I'm going to just start with, like I said, the Knob Creek 10, just to kind of set my palate and remind myself of what I like about this whiskey. Now, it's not one to compare to these other ones because this one is about half the price. So it's definitely not in the realm of the Old Overholt age-dated releases, but I still think it would be a good place to start out tonight. Matthew Parks in the chat as well. Good to see you. Thank you all for showing up. It's been a week. It's been a long week, but I'm excited to finally hear and do a live stream. I did a podcast episode that came out this morning of the new, if I can reach it, the new weeded foolproof Green River. This just came out, and so it was kind of funny that I did a weeded bourbon on my podcast and then a bunch of rye whiskey on my stream. But I like to mix it up a little, keep things interesting. So if you missed that podcast episode, you can get it wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, YouTube even, or the website bourbonbytes.com. Was an interesting whiskey for sure. As a reminder, Green River Foolproof, their rye bourbon, was my #1 whiskey of 2025. So I wanted to see how this foolproof weeded bourbon did. And I'm not going to spoil it, but they did have quite a bit of a difference between the two of them. That's all I'll say about that. Tony said the Knob Creek 7 and 10-year rye at 100 proof do better because of the age. Yeah, this 10-year rye, there's really nothing bad to say about it. It's just solid. Great age statement. 100 proof is nothing to turn your nose up at. I actually just poured it all over myself. That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say I actually have been enjoying this in a lot of Manhattans. It's kind of been my Manhattan pour for a while, so it's great in a cocktail. Apparently a long weekend for Clifton. Yeah, it's President's Day weekend this weekend, so didn't realize, but not going to do anything too crazy. I think I'm just going to stay home and chill, but yeah, some people get some long weekends. I didn't realize. I'm currently unemployed, so every weekend's a long weekend until I can find myself a new new job. Fingers crossed. I'll hear back on that soon, but enough with the downers. Let's go. Let's get going. Let's get drinking. Let's start with the one that kind of has kind of held a place in my heart. This is actually my second bottle of this, and it's also almost gone. Now, that's the only kind of caveat I have here. The 11 and the 12 year are fresh cracks. This one's been open for probably about a year. Yeah, just over a year, because I got it not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that. So just over a year. I've been holding on to it because I've been really looking forward to doing this stream. I've actually been planning for this stream since I bought this second bottle of it. I just hadn't had a chance to get my hands on the 12 year. But now that I saw it came out, I was like, this is the perfect time to grab this and do a stream. By the way, pricing on each of these, they are basically $100 each. They all started at $100. So for reference, the 2023 one, the 2023 autumn release is the 10 year. The 2024 summer release is the 11 year. And the 2025 summer release is the 12 year. So we have all three of them here. We're gonna do a little side by side. I'm excited. Tony said to alcohol, the cause of and solution to all life's problems. Well, for some folks, maybe. I wouldn't say alcohol is the cause of all of life's problems. I also don't think alcohol is a solution, but guess what? It can make you feel good when you're sharing it with friends, which is what I'm doing here today with you guys. So let's go ahead and we'll pour them as we go, because like I said, this one, it's been open the longest. Actually, I changed my mind. I said that and then I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and pour the 11 and 12 just so they have a moment to open up, just because these are fresh cracks. I want to give them a chance to kind of do their thing in the glass a little bit before we get into them. Like I said at the top of the stream, I've had 2 bottles of the 10 year. This is my second bottle of the 11 year, and this is my first try of the 12 year. Emily's here in the chat. What's up? Good to see you. There's a new icon. I'm sorry, I see a new icon that I don't normally see on for bourbon wrenches. So cheers to you, Em. You got a cool little icon there. At least on my screen. So 10 year. This is the initial release. This was kind of the big first step for Old Overholt at cask strength and an age statement. This one comes in at 60.5% ABV. So 121 proof. Ooh, that got really close to you guys. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to jump scare you there. So like I said, this is the Jim Beam cask strength rye whiskey. It's the same mash bill as their Knob Creek rye. Now, Jim Beam does not reveal their mash bill. I can probably guess that this is a lower rye mash bill. Someone, I think I saw online that some people have some speculations of the mash bill. I don't know it offhand, so I'm not going to say it. But I think it's a low rye mash bill. It's definitely not like a 95.5 like some of my favorite rye whiskeys. It's definitely more of a bourbon drinker's rye. So, like I said, this initial release was 10 years old, $100 MSRP for all three of these, 121 proof. Let's go and give it a nose. Yes. I mean, listen, I said this is my second bottle of this. I would buy a third, fourth, fifth if I could find it. Unfortunately, this is 3 years old now, so I just haven't seen it on the shelves. The last time I saw it was at a ABC store in North Carolina. Haven't seen that release since. I think it's because it's discontinued after the first one. So the 2023 one came out, came and went. Then the 24 one came and went, and now the 25 one is currently the one on the shelves right now. So we'll see. There might be a 26 one that's 13 years old. We'll find out. But this 10-year-old is not going to last me until whenever that happens. Tony said, I find my TT, Twisted Tea, doesn't really open up. I mean, it opens once, then I chug it. I read that as TikTok. I'm like, what? But then I realized it's Tony. It's Twisted Tea. I know. I love the wrench too. It's just a different icon I'm seeing on my end now. Shy Guy has opinions. He said low rye ryes are cop-outs. Make rye for rye lovers, not bourbon lovers. Well, that's fair. I mean, I'm a bourbon lover and I also am a rye lover, so I don't necessarily... I get your point. I feel like, a rye should taste like a rye, but that doesn't mean that it can't be good if it is the lower rye. Again, nothing's been confirmed. I just know, based on what I've read, that this isn't the highest rye mash bill they have. But on the nose, oh my goodness, that is... It's kind of interesting because coming from the Knob Creek 10, which is the same age, it's like that cask strength is just a flavor bomb, especially on the nose. I mean, it's a similar nose. Of course, it's the same mash bill. But at cask strength, you're jumping up 20 proof points. And really, it's just jumping out of the glass. There's quite a bit of oak there, surprisingly, which is why I love the Knob Creek one, the one that I kind of started with. That 10-year age statement, 10 years on a rye whiskey, just to me, is an exceptional age. I think rye whiskey can be good at a younger age, but once you get to like that 9-10 years old, then it's only going to go up from there. Well, maybe to a certain point, but you get what I'm saying. So on the nose, this 10-year Old Overholt is oaky. It's a little sweet, not super rye forward. Like I said, it's not gonna be like a rye bomb. There's a little bit of grassiness there, a little bit mossy. Not like minty like some ryes are. Really, it just kind of is very much, I think people say whiskeys are kind of like of nature, or kind of like naturey. I said mossy a little bit earlier, but I think it's a combo of the moss and the oak and the bark. It's a very much a wilderness whiskey on the nose. It's very, very different from other rye whiskeys I've had recently, but it's got a nice spice to it. It's not like the spicy... I'm not getting much cinnamon at all. Maybe some pepper. I'm getting a little bit of pepper on it, but... Overall, really, really pleasant nose. Let's go in for a taste of the Old Overholt Cask Strength 10-year-old release. Cheers. Yep. Still, I'm kind of sticking to that kind of pepper thing. It's like, I'm almost like a red pepper flake. I love like spicing up my food like with red pepper flakes. Actually, this is a weird side tangent, but I love pickled okra. I've always loved it since I was a kid, and it's hard to get out here. But the only place that sells it is Walmart. There's also places that sell like they ship it from places like Amazon and stuff, but that's a little more pricey. But like the Walmart okra is just it's called mild okra. So I always, as soon as I get my jar of it, I just like douse it in red pepper flakes and then shake it up a bit and let it sit for a few days. So like I love my red pepper flakes. So that's kind of what I'm getting on the palate here, just on first sip. It does go sweeter though. I got a little sweetness on the nose, but on the palate, it's got a nice, really, It's fruity. It's like a red fruit. I wanted to say strawberry, like strawberry puree. It's like almost that, but there's a little bit of tartness that kind of leans a little towards cherry, but a bright cherry, not like a black dark cherry, more of like a bright maraschino kind of cherry. Not like cough syrup though. You know, that to me that's a bad note. It doesn't have that, but it does have a like a bit of a cherry sweetness, a little bit of like strawberry cherry thing going on. And then the back end, it's like dark chocolate, dark oak. All that richness that I got on the nose is just like piled up on the back end. And finish wise, incredible. Yeah, there's a reason I bought a second bottle of this. There's a reason this bottle is so low. This Old Overholt 10-year is just an exceptional whiskey. It's what I hope they live up to every other release since then. Now, we'll find out if that's true or not, because we're going to try the 11-year next and then the 12-year. As someone that's had the 11-year before, at least not this bottle, this is a brand new bottle, but I had a previous bottle of the 11-year. I was kind of let down because I don't think it hit as hard as the 10-year did. So we'll revisit it today. Like I said, a new bottle. Maybe my opinion has changed over time, but I just remember absolutely loving this 10-year, and it still holds true. This is an exceptional cask strength rye whiskey. I mean, I can't fault this for anything. I think this is a perfect. If I were to give this a score, I think the Old Overholt Cask Strength 10-year would get a 10 out of 10 for me. For the price, for the availability when it's available, and then just the overall flavor journey. Yeah, it's everything I want a cask strength rye whiskey to be if it is a lower rye. Yes, I could say there's some 95.5 ryes that I'd rather have than this, but for what it is, I think it's an exceptional bourbon. That being said, I'm starting to second guess my 10 out of 10, only because the only way I would improve this if it was the high rye mash bill, like a 95.5. So I'll give it a 9.5. There we go. If they were a 95.5 rye, I'd bump it up. Tony said, have you had the A. Overholt Manamana rye? Yes, Tony. I'm pretty sure I had that with you. I have a bottle of it. Oh, you can't see it. It's behind my old granddad 16-year. Yeah, not my favorite. It's a little weird, a little funky. I bought it because it had the Old Overholt name, but I would much rather buy these cask strength releases, or even just the regular Old Overholt 114. I prefer that over the Monongahela rye. Yes. I say that as if like maybe you made a typo. Maybe I'm not the one making the mistake. Maybe it's you. All right, well, we got 2 more ryes to drink, and now we're going to go into the 11-year-old. So this is the one that I said I bought before, didn't love, and I'm going to get it fresh. This is like going to be Monongahela. Monongahela. What did Tony type? Monongahela. Okay, maybe he did. Okay. Monongahela. That sounds so much easier than Menomina. But anyways. The 11-year, I think the reason that I originally didn't like it as much because, one, it's a pretty drastic drop in proof. So we're coming from 121 proof for the 10-year to this 11-year that's 107.4 proof. So almost, 13 proof points lower? 1 year older, but lower proof. So I think that kind of, it didn't not to say that it rubbed me the wrong way, because I think cask strength can be exceptional at lower proofs. But when you're comparing it to what I already thought was like a perfect release, and then you release it lower proof, I get a little bit suspicious, especially when there are Old Overholt 114 proof releases. So I was a little bit sus about the proof here. But again, fresh Monongahela. Okay. There we go. Thank you for the correction there, Shy Guy. So anyways, I'm going into this 11 with a fresh mind. It's a fresh crack. Let's see how it holds up in this second tasting of it. Well, on the nose, quite different actually. Whereas the 10 and even the Knob Creek 10 were a bit of a complex, like rich, oaky, little bit of sweetness, but that was kind of on the back end, and then a bit of like a pepper spice. The 11-year is strangely different. There is oak, but it's expressing itself differently. It almost reminds me of like a cedar or like a sweeter oak. It's not like the sweetness isn't in the whiskey, but in the oak. Sometimes it comes across as like a younger oak, like a green oak, like you snap like a twig. That green wood note. Getting a little bit of that. And that's kind of it. I'm having to go much deeper into the glass to get a nose. And, it is lower proof. That's kind of to be expected. But yeah, nothing too much coming off of the nose on the 11 year. Now, that's not all it's about. It's all about palate too. But being the same price, same proof, or sorry, same price, 1 year older, lower proof. It's a little disappointing, but let's go in for a taste. Let's try the Old Overholt 11 year cask strength. Cheers. Still a bit of tannic wood. I would say on the palate, it's less of that younger, like cedar or like green oak note. It's almost a little bit, this is going to be weird. It almost has that flavor of like when a whiskey is a little bit over oaked. And I usually only get that. I don't get that often with like an older whiskey, believe it or not. I usually get that with like a double oaked bourbon. To me, I feel like sometimes the oak is so overpowering that it kind of just becomes tannin and bitter. We're teetering on that. We're not quite all the way there with this one, but it is definitely a bit more astringent than the 10 year. Less smooth on the palate, less of a just like how would you say this? I don't want to say syrupy mouthfeel, but less of a cohesive mouthfeel for sure. It kind of tingles on the edges of the tongue, like the far left and far right, versus the bourbons I typically like tingle the tip of the tongue, mid palate, and finish. This one kind of hangs out on the edges of the tongue. So it's a little bit of that bitter, tannic, sour kind of thing going on the palate. Still very heavily oaked. And I love an oak forward bourbon or an oak forward rye. I just wanted to have a little bit more than just the oak. And I think that's kind of what's happening here. It's like the oak is overwhelming the flavor profile, where I'm not really getting rye. I'm getting a little bit of like spiciness on the edges of the tongue, like I said, the far edges, but it's almost more of like a bitter kind of note. Maybe a little bit of like an anise kind of thing, like a licorice, a little bit licorice, but like a sweeter licorice, but still a little bit bitter and sour. Just overall, very different flavor profile than the 10 year. I'll just try the 10 year again, just to kind of go back and see. The 10 year, literally, like I said, tip of the tongue, mid palate, and finish, just like I expect a really good whiskey to do. Whereas the 11 year kind of just like falls off of the sides and a little bit sour, kind of makes your mouth water a little bit because of that bitterness and that tannicness. Not bad by any means. Just, I think I'm going to stick with my original gut reaction to this 11 year. To me, it's not on the same caliber as the 10 year, which is crazy because it's the exact same bottle. I mean, literally, that's the 11 year. That's the 10 year. Literally exact same bottle, just the 2024 release versus the 23. And I just don't think it hits the spot nearly as well as the 10 year. And I was hoping maybe I would change my mind coming back to it and, saying, new bottle, maybe my first bottle was a little off. But no, I still kind of feel the same. I think this one, rating wise, being $100, lower proof, like 107, 11 years old. If I had to give this a rating just on the spot without really thinking too much about it, this is going to be a big drop, but I would probably go 6 out of 10 for the 11 year. I just think it leaves too much on the table. Like, I think it's a better than average tasting rye whiskey. You rarely see an 11-year-old cask strength, so I give them that. It's not what I look for in like an 11-year cask strength. Yes, on paper it sounds great, and that's why I think I give it a 6 versus a 5. But for my palate, it's just not quite hitting the way that the 10-year did. Just get a call up in the chat. So Todd said it's one of the 3 rivers in Pittsburgh. I love hearing people butcher it since the expression came out. There we go. Adam said the proof difference is huge too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going from 121 proof on the 10 year to 107.4 proof on the 11 year. To me, it doesn't hold a candle to it. I think I would say if you see the 11 year, I mean, I even hesitate to say like, if you've never had the 10 year, right? and you want to know what this kind of cask strength Jim Beam rye could taste like, pour it out and get you a Knob Creek cask strength rye. Sorry, that's an exaggeration, but yeah, the 11 just kind of let me down. It's just to me not a bad whiskey at all. Just not going to be anywhere close to what the 10-year set with expectations. Shy Guy said highest proof equals best. Not always, but traditionally for me, sometimes. I would say not always highest proof, but higher proof in general is better, especially when we're talking about cask strength. I think, yeah, I agree. Adam said he just poured a fresh crack of the 11 and it's a much softer pour. Yeah, it's soft, but to me it's like got a bit of oak tannin that's just like not that pleasant. Shy Guy said, now I really want some high proof Jack Daniels barrel proof rye. Nice. I just killed I think I still have one more bottle of that. Maybe for the after party hangout, we'll get into that. By the way, if you guys don't know, we have an after party hangout after every Thursday night live stream here on YouTube. That's for everyone on the Byte Club, which is what I call my membership program, and Patreon. Everyone $10 and up a month gets access. The cask strength whiskey is hitting, if you can't tell. Gets access to our after party hangout, where we just go on for a couple hours, just chilling, drinking whiskey amongst friends, and continuing the conversation. So if you guys want to get in on that, you can join at that tier. Of course, we have tiers for all budgets. We have a $5 tier, which gets you access to our monthly movie night. We do it once a month. We watch I think this month we'll probably do an 80s Valentine's, like rom-com kind of thing. I'm thinking for February. So probably not this weekend, but next weekend we'll do that. And then, of course, you can support the channel for as little as $2 a month. And every little bit does help out. It helps me get bottles like these to try on the channel. And it helps me just, I don't know, supplement the fact that, you know, I come out here and I have hopefully fun ideas for you guys week to week. So you can check out more about supporting on bourbonbytes.com. The link is down in the description below. Of course, if you prefer the Patreon platform, you can join there, patreon.com/bourbonbytes. I just recommend bourbonbytes.com because they take less of a percentage out of my of your support. Less of it comes out of it and goes towards the company that's running the website, and more of it comes to me. So if you want to get in on that, bourbonbytes.com. We have quite a few Byte Club members here in the chat. We have Tony, we have Adam, we have Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans, we have Todd. Scrolling up. So I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Matthew Parks as well. I think that was everyone that's a Byte Club member. If I missed you, shame on me. Let me know. But I think we're ready to move on to the last of the Old Overholts. This is the newest release. This is the Old Overholt 12-year cask strength. This is the newest release, like I said. It was bottled in 2025. By the way, here's something that I didn't mention. I probably should have totally mentioned this earlier on. The dates of these have been barreled aren't the same. You would kind of think if they're doing this, it's like, oh, they're using the same batch for all these different releases. So just for reference, the 10-year-old was barreled back in winter and autumn of 2012. The 11-year-old was barreled in autumn of 2012. So those two match. However, this one, the 2025 release, the 12-year, was barreled in 2013 spring. So just more info for you there, but it was bottled in summer of 2025. So, and proof on this one is 117 proof, 58.5% ABV. So right in the middle, closer to the 10-year release, which makes me a little hopeful, right? You know, we're getting closer to proof of that initial release. 2 years older than that initial release. Same price, $100. This is set up to be a really great, almost said bourbon. This is set up to be a really great rye whiskey if it can stand up to the competition. So let's go ahead and give that one a nose. Sorry, I saw some comments I wanted to get to. Shy Guy said, if I join the club, can I take some of the Tony's bottles off the shelf? I don't think he wants them. Well, that's the Tony Twisted Tea Club. That's a whole different group than I'm in. Adam said, I wish I had the 12 here too, but I spent too much money in Kentucky and didn't grab one last month. This just showed up here this past week. I actually just picked it up today from the liquor store. Tony about to load me up with his Weller Special Reserves and Malort. Repping the Maui shirt. Nice. Don Nishida, good to see you. Yes, Maui and Sons. Don, hope you were doing well. Don's another Byte Club member and Cliffy Bus member here on YouTube as well. Hope you're doing well, Don. Great to see you. I'm about to go in for a try of, or a nose of the 12-year-old Overholt Cask Strength. Let's go ahead and give it a little sniff. Okay. Yes, that's good. I don't know why I'm talking like this. We're back in the 10-year territory. That nose is great. Sweet, a little bit of a molasses kind of thing going on. Oaky, but like not over oaky. Going back to the 10-year, they are different enough. But I mean, this is in the territory of the 10-year that I know and love. So we're back on track with the nose at least, and the proof. So yeah, it's sweet. There's some corn sweetness there actually. It's almost like I don't want to go kettle corn, but I want to go more of like a sweet creamed corn. Spice is a little muted. If anything, it's more of like a clove, touch of cinnamon, like touch. I'm not getting that spicy red pepper that I was getting on the 10-year though. Honestly, fantastic nose. I have a good feeling about this one based on first impression so far. It smells great. The proof is great. I guess there's nothing else to do but to take a sip. So cheers, you guys. Let's try the new Old Overholt Cask Strength 12-year-old. Cheers. Oh, baby, we're back. Yes. Ooh. Yep. Yes. I know I'm saying a lot of the same words, but I really felt like the 11-year like just took a weird turn, and I was hoping that like other people would feel the same way, that they would return back to what they did so well with the 10-year. Even if they brought it back down to 10-year age statement, I was willing to lose a year as long as it tasted as good as the original 10-year. They managed to do it and go up in a year. They went up to 12 years old, went up to 117 proof. This is a fantastic low rye whiskey. Again, it's not going to like be as spicy as like some 95.5 rye whiskeys. This is probably more like a 51% rye whiskey. But that being said, this is a flavor punch. It definitely coats the mouth in the way that I loved about the 10-year. It definitely takes you on a journey, tip of the tongue, mid-palate, finish. I was going to say, actually, there's a little bit of the sides as well. But like, remember the 11-year was just totally just the sides of the tongue, that like thing that made your mouth water, that little bit of like sour, bitter note. This one kind of, it covers the tongue for sure. Finish-wise, I think it might be a little bit shorter than the 10-year that I know and love. But I think that is a drastic improvement over the 11-year that came out in 2024. I mean, I'll take another sip to confirm, but oh yeah. It's honestly, funny enough, it's the most Knob Creek / Jim Beam tasting of all of these. And it's because it has some nuttiness to it. It has some really great nutty, I was gonna say not quite peanut, a little bit more of like a, I'm not good with my nuts. I was gonna say somewhere between like an almond and like a pecan, because it has like the sweetness and the kind of like the thing that kind of makes your mouth go a little bit numb from the pecan, but it has more of a richer, oakier flavor that I think an almond could bring. So it's like almond pecan nuttiness. Honestly, if you're a fan of the Jim Beam rye whiskey flavor profile, you're gonna like this new release. Todd, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. I know I'm calling you out. It's kind of weird, right? I was like shouting your name, but I know you love Knob Creek Cask Strength rye. I think you would really like this 12-year-old Old Overholt. If you haven't had it and you can't find it, let me know, because our next tasting is coming up. I'm happy to send it as part of the Bourbon Terabyte tasting, which is another tier on the Byte Club if anyone wants to get in on it. But this is kind of reminding me of what I love the most about Knob Creek's Cask Strength rye releases. I'm not good with my nuts. that is we're back again. We're back on track. Congratulations to Old Overholt. You resolved whatever went weird with the 11 year. But I still think, in terms of ranking, I still think the 10 year, the one that came out in 2023, is the best. I just think this one, to me, is, like I said, the near perfect pour, 9.5 out of 10. I think my last place is unfortunately still the 11 year. Just too tannic, too bitter. The oak kind of did something weird on this one that I just didn't personally appreciate. But the 12 year, the newest one, doesn't quite have the finish that the 10 year had, but it does coat the palate. It does have a really delicious, nutty, little bit of cinnamon, like I said. Not as spicy pepper, but more of like a cinnamon clove kind of taste. Honestly, just a delicious rye whiskey. I'm a big fan of it. If I had to give this a score, again, this is just first impression score, I think I would give the 12 year, I would do an 8 out of 10. I think it's really clearly back on track for the brand. I mean, shoot. The only reason I hesitate is I'm like, it's 12 years old. This got to be one of the oldest rye whiskeys I've had. Because most rye whiskeys I've had that I really love are 10 years old. I will say I do have a bottle, you can't see, it's behind the dark arts, of a 13-year-old MGP cask strength rye whiskey that's a 95.5 that's also $100 that I would also give that one like a 9 out of 10. This was a little bit less than that, so I'm going to go 8.5. I'm going to bump it up. 8.5 out of 10 for the Old Overholt 12 year. So 10 years a 9.5, 12 year is an 8.5, and then 11 year is a 6.5. I mean, I would even go down. I'd bring that down to a 6 now that I've tried these other ones. I don't think the 11 year is in the same league as the 10 and the 12. Just personally. It's just, I don't know. Maybe some people like it. If you like the 11 year, please leave a comment. Let me know what you like about it. But I do want to know, if you do like it, have you tried the 10 or the 12? Because if you like it on its own, that's one thing, and that's totally fair. But I would love to hear if you think maybe you prefer the 11 year over the 10 or 12. That would be an interesting perspective, and I love hearing other opinions on bottles that I love. So let me know in the comments if you think that I was right, I was wrong about this lineup. It could go either way, right? Just for me, I just love the 12 and the 10. Adam said he's looking forward to chatting about these in the after party. Tony asked for the proof on the 12 year. 12 year proof is 117.0, 58.5%. So a good bit closer to the 10 year. The 11 year just dropped so much in proof, went down to 107.4. Todd said he's not had the 12 year, but I love the 10 year release. We do have it here in Ohio, but I always love a good flight. I wouldn't be opposed to it, and unfortunately nothing has compared to the Knob Creek cask strength. They were just so good. I feel you. Those were really, really good. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up a little early tonight. I know it's the last thing I can do is try the Knob Creek and just see how it compares in the lineup. It's good. Would I put it over the 11 year? That's a good question. No, I wouldn't put the Knob Creek 10 over the 11 year. I think all of these are better than this one, but this one's also a much more affordable bottle. I think it's like $55, $60, if I remember correctly. So a little more than half the cost of these other ones. So that's not a fair comparison. It is good. It is good for what it is. Well, like I said, I'm going to wrap it up early this week. If you are here for the after party, stick around. We'll do that over on Discord. If you're like not a member or not a supporter and you're like, not tonight, Cliffy, then check out the podcast episode that came out. Like I said, wherever you get your podcast, you can find it on Apple Podcast. You can find it on Spotify. Just search for the Bourbon Bytes podcast. It'll pull up. I'll show you a little preview. Here's what the episode looks like. This is the new Green River Weeded Foolproof Bourbon. So give that a listen. It's about 17 minutes long, so it'll make up for the fact that I ended the stream early. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next Thursday. I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet. This was the only one that I had planned that I was really excited for. So, I do know. I got sent some samples from a brand that I've never had before. Have you guys had this one? I'll give you a little sneak preview. Those that are sticking around longer. This is Providence straight bourbon whiskey. They sent me a 7-year-old and a 14-year-old. So this is gonna be next week. I'm gonna find a couple other whiskeys. So they only sent me 2 different ones. So I'm gonna do maybe like a new whiskey stream where I pick up a couple of other bottles to give a first impression try. But looking forward to trying this. Like I said, a 7 and a 14-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey should be a good time. Oh, sorry, I said Kentucky. It does not say Kentucky, so I'm actually not sure. Not sure where these are from. I gotta do some research. I got a week to do it, right? I am a procrastinator, so I'll get on that right after this stream. All right, y'all. Cheers. I'll talk to you guys next week. And if you're not yet subscribed, hit subscribe. I'll be live same time, same place every week. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live, and that way you can show up week to week. Otherwise, you can join our Whiskey and Gaming Lounge Discord server at the link down below, bourbonbytes.com. That's our community for all of our whiskey love. I'm chatting there throughout the week. Many of these people in the chat are also there week to week. So if you want to join an amazing whiskey community, join us there. But until then, this has been Bourbon Bytes, a whiskey review channel, I almost said podcast, a whiskey live stream with a gaming twist. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Bye.